doing? It's time for the Knitworthy podcast.
Knitworthy podcast, sharing our love of the fiber arts from the heart of the Ozarks.
Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of the Knitworthy podcast. 24.
I feel really bizarre right now.
Why?
We're in a different place.
We are in a different place. We're like the traveling podcast for the moment. That's okay.
Those of you who have toured our home via photo know that this is our dining room.
Yes, so we're giving this a try to see if it works any better.
Yes, we're looking for easiest setup.
Yes.
Because if it takes 45 minutes to get set up, it's too long.
Too long. We don't have that kind of time. No. So, I'm Brianne, also known as Being Brianne on Ravelry and Instagram, and this is my gorgeous mother.
Hello, I am Linda, also known as Stony Brook. And please won't you call me Mama Linda?
Yes. I know I call her Mom or Mama.
Yeah.
Sometimes I call her Mama Linda. Throwing that out there, I do.
You know, the mama thing, where that came from was you guys started doing that, especially like when you were trying to cheer me up or when you were trying to, like for the boys, when they were trying to sweeten me up for something.
Yes.
And it just became my favorite
Mama.
Endearing term. Mama.
Oh, I love it when my kids call me Mama.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
It is the best.
It's the way into my heart.
Yes.
So, this is a knitting podcast.
It is.
Knitting, crocheting, spinning. We've talked about dyeing.
We have.
Fiber. We've talked about
I have done some
processing fiber.
We have. I've done some loom weaving, but though I have yet to show that.
Yes.
So at some point that'll be coming, but in the future.
This is a fiber arts podcast, and so let's talk about, we are wearing some fibery arts.
We are.
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing the scarf that I showed last week. That is the yarn that I spun from Peggy from 100th Sheep. That was the thick and thin spin.
Beautiful. That's the maple colorway?
The maple colorway. And I'm
gorgeous.
telling you, it's gorgeous. And it feels so squishy and soft. Today I'm wearing it kind of lariat style, where I doubled it and then put it through one of the loops, which is one way you can wear a scarf if you're one of those people that are always trying to figure out, how can I wear my scarf?
Yes.
It also goes 3 times around my neck if I want to have it up higher, but when I'm
Wow.
in the house, I didn't really need it to be that
It's
warm.
not that cold in here.
No.
No.
It's very snuggly. I love it.
Hi, Evan. Evan is our police officer today. He's wearing his police officer's uniform, and his job is to make sure that everybody stays quiet for the podcast.
Yes. Oh, he gave us a salute.
Thank you, sir.
Should we get his face in here so they can
Yes,
see how
would you?
seriously he takes his job? Evan, can you come around behind our chairs and show them how you dress when you're in charge of keeping things quiet? Just like this.
He's the police officer.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Officer Evan.
Thank you for your service.
Okay. So far, it has been quiet.
It has been.
It's worked.
Yeah. I am wearing my traveling woman shawl. This is, I believe, another pattern by Liz Abinante, who's the designer of the Miss Wig socks. Miss
Yes.
Wick, not
And
Wig.
Saroyan, right?
Saroyan,
Which I love.
yes. So, so this is out of Dream in Color Everlasting, which is one of Dream in Color's sock bases. But this is their old one. They have a new one that has like 9 plies.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Like
very
that.
strong. Yes, Evan?
I'm pretending I'm an adult.
Okay, you be an adult.
He's an adult.
Thank you very much.
Got that? He's an adult.
Yes, sir.
I would think that the more plies you have like that, the more rounded the yarn will be.
Yes, I would agree. Now that I'm a spinner, I'm noticing all kinds of things about my yarns
She
and
spins.
plies, and I'm still a spinner with a lowercase s though. I'm not a spinner with a capital S. I feel like I'm a knitter with a capital K, but not a spinner with a capital S.
Well, okay.
If that makes any sense.
Do you have any exclamation marks or parentheses in there?
Um,
Silent cues?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, you're not that either.
Yeah, no, that's too much. Too much. So anyways, let's see. Mom, do you have any gooseberries? Things that have happened?
Well, I must say, just before we came today,
Yes.
I don't know if it's really a gooseberry, but you know when you do something that you've really been putting off and you should get done?
Yes.
And like I may have perhaps canceled the last appointment. I had my mammogram and my bone density scan.
Good for you.
Yeah. It was,
This is important.
And you know what they do now? They actually gave me my, what's it called? The gown.
Mm-hmm.
With the chocolate on top.
Oh, I love that.
This is the Women's Center. And so you get like celebrity magazines and chocolate on your gown.
I love it.
And I decided I don't know any celebrities anymore. As far back as I go is maybe your generation.
Uh-huh.
But after that, anybody who's newer than that, except for I think Dad we were trying to figure out the name of this young singer with the hair, and he does this.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, except for he called him, he goes, Beh-Beh. Beh-Beh. I go, that's really a new one. He said it was Bieber. Yeah. So we are so out of it that Justin Bieber is Beh-Beh.
Beh-Beh.
Anyway,
all the believers out there are like, he is a Beh-Beh. Yes, he's my Beh-Beh.
That's right. So I got that done, and I was very happy to be over with it, and for another year. But the bone density scan's a new one, and I don't know if any of you understand that. During this time of life, when we are the estrogen's waning, especially, they want you to get a bone density scan for a baseline, and then to see if you need supplementation or medicine to help you retain as much bone mass as you can retain.
Which, yes.
One of the questions was, I loved the one, do you have calcium every day? Does ice cream count as calcium? No, I've cut back on the ice cream, but I have milk every day.
Mm-hmm.
But the other question was, do you do load-bearing weightlifting exercises every day? And I had to say no.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, so there's some room for improvement there. But hopefully my bones are nice and strong and I won't need any extra supplementation. But things to think about, people, as you're getting, you're busy people, and maybe not thinking all the time about the inside of you, but we don't want our bones breaking, do we?
Definitely not.
No.
No. We don't want to break a hip anytime soon.
No broken hips. No.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I'm glad to have it done. That's my gooseberry done. Woo!
Check. She's finished it.
Yes.
Yay, you. Well, my gooseberry for the week was not nearly as awesome as yours. I mean, like, important as yours was.
Okay, it's awesome. I don't know.
But I think it was 2 Fridays ago, Brian and I had the chance of going to go see The Hobbit finally. Yay! And so we got to go, and we're going to go see it. We have a couple of theaters here in Branson, and one of them is an IMAX, but it also has other, like, normal theater screens within that complex.
No, is IMAX a U.S. thing? We need to explain what an IMAX is.
IMAX is like a huge, it stands for something, but it's like this, like, 2-story tall screen, or 3-story. It's ridiculously wide.
They tell you every time they start a movie, and we never listen, do we?
They didn't tell us before this one.
They didn't?
No.
Oh, usually they do the demo. Here's a normal screen, and here's the IMAX screen.
Exactly. I mean, it's so huge. And of course, so you get a better picture quality, and it's much more of an experience.
It really is. It's
and
like
so,
you're there.
Yeah, Brian and I thought that we were going to go see it on the regular screen, and we walked in to the IMAX. So we got to see the last Hobbit movie on the IMAX screen, which was like...
That's very cool.
It was very cool.
And it was packed.
It was so packed. We walked in like, 5 minutes before it's supposed to start, and it's completely empty because, of course, we waited until like one of the very last weeks that it's in the theater, and it's a Monday because Brian had off that day. And so it was for Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Right.
And so the kids were in school, but Brian was not because he works at a bank. And so it was just so funny. So finally, like 1 minute before the movie starts, this family of 4 comes in, and we're like, oh man. But they were on like a complete different end of the theater.
Did they ruin it for you?
No. No, it was really okay. I mean, maybe if they had chewed really, really loudly on their popcorn or started setting off fireworks, it would have ruined it. But
right.
No, it was good. It was fun. And, I love being able to go out and do things with my husband. And, we had the same geeky things for the most part, so it was a lot of fun.
You haven't lured him into knitting yet, though.
I have not, although Brian sometimes has to take business trips up to St. Louis or to different parts of Missouri for training on, bankery kind of things. Bankish things as a manager, since he manages a bank. And so, that will require him to spend a night or two away from home. And I'm like, you'd be a lot less bored if you had knitting with you. And he was like, yeah, but then I'd have to use your yarn. And I'm like, oh no, you would hate my yarn. We would get you yarn all of your own so that you wouldn't have to use mine. And, that makes him laugh because, well, I've got plenty of yarn. I do.
We learned some new terms this week. Bankery reminded me of it.
Oh, really? What did we learn?
Bankery is not a real term, though.
It's not. Bankish, bakery.
I think it was yesterday, the day before, John had to take a test.
Yeah.
And it's an online test. He went to realtor school and got his license, and then the local real estate board requires that you become familiar with their rules and everything. One of the rules is that you have to say it properly. It's realtor.
Well, yes.
And that's not how I've said it all these years. So it's realtor.
Yeah.
But no, it's realtor. And you should use the trademark. So when you say realtor, make sure you say it with the trademark. You might do this.
That makes it look fake, though.
It does.
I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
No.
And you have to be your name, realtor.
Maybe you could be like, hi, I'm John Lee. I'm a realtor. Ding! Ding!
That would be good.
That would be good.
That would be excellent.
Let's have Dad start doing that.
Yeah, I've got us randomly off topic again. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. So, let's talk about what we're knitting. Are you knitting things?
Well, I am. I am working right now on. I should show you. This, believe it or not, is going to become a heart.
Oh.
Now, I noticed that these colors of the chandelier kind of wash out the colors. It's actually aquas and grays. It's lovely. And you say, is that a heart? Yeah, it is, because I say it is. There's the actual yarn.
Is that some of your hand spun? Or
That's
is that
my hand spun.
Beautiful.
And I love it. It's from 100th Sheep. What a surprise.
I'm shocked.
She dyed it. It's lovely. But what I'm making is some of these. I made these for myself. And I think everyone's probably heard of a scissor fob. Now this is just my homemade version. I'm making nicer ones now. This is just some acrylic yarn that I had. And what I wanted was, most of the time as knitters, when you're trying to finish something up, or maybe you have a lot of ends to weave in as you go, what do you need? You need scissors.
True.
And you need a needle.
True.
And you need to be able to find them.
Yes.
And so this big heart makes it very easy for me to find my scissors when they're laying. I thought you could see the table. You can't. But anyway, the other thing you can do, this is my little basket that I put my hearts in. Here's a whole bunch I've got going. And you can, the heart weights it so that the scissors can hang over the side of something.
Now, how many hearts have you finished?
I've only finished like 5.
Only.
I'm working on my 6th. And they're just out of bits of leftover hand spun.
Okay.
And they're got all different colors. I left the strings on because what I plan on doing is, on this one I did a vintage button, and I'm going to toss this one when I'm done because this was kind of just prototypey. But I'm going to use a silky ribbon to attach the scissors. Ooh. And I'm going to put a magnet and another vintage button on top of it. And what that does, for those who are into needlework, you would be able to stick your needle here so you can just pull it off very easily. It would also give you a magnet if I do 2, it would give you a magnet to attach your pattern to something. I don't know that you'd want to do that, but I thought it would be clever. But anyway, I normally just, do a few stitches in and out here so that my needle's always ready for me. And I'm telling you, it's so super handy. And the other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to find a way to attach it would be like a beaded thread puller. Okay, I'm not saying it the way I should. It's basically like the needle threaders that they have that are made out of metal. They're just little cheapy ones, but they make them out of a jewelry wire with some beads on the end. And you put that loop through the eye of the needle, put your yarn through that, and then you can pull it through very easily. Most times a big eye like this is not a problem, but there are times when the eye of the needle is a little bit smaller and I have a hard time with it. So I'm thinking about attaching that also. So I would have my needle threader, my needle, and my scissors. And if you need basting pins for something, you could also put those on there. But it is a great way to be able to find your scissors. Very fun. And so my plan is to send them when they're all done. I'll show them when they're all done because I think they're going to turn out really fun. This was like a sampler of yarns I had. With the vintage buttons, I ordered embroidery scissors that are going to be very similar to these. I'm going to do the stork scissors, but the nice stork scissors are very expensive, and I don't think anybody could afford them.
Are you going to sell these?
Yes, I'm going to be seeing if Peggy can sell them at her craft fairs. Okay. But I thought it's a great way, of course, because my goal last week was getting through my stash of boxes that needed to be unpacked.
Right.
I have a lot of yarn. What?
Are you almost done now?
A lot of bibs and bobs of yarn that I don't want to get rid of, too. And so I thought, I'm just going to, in the evenings, I'll make a few little things to sell. That's where the scarf idea came from, of using up some of the yarns that I've spun over the years and making things out of them. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's what I'm knitting right now. I have projects I need to be knitting, and I know we have our goal of finishing some works in progress, but my goal is to try to work on stash.
Okay.
And so if you consider that a work in progress, I'm right in with everyone.
Okay.
Because the idea is to have less stash.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What are you working on?
Well, right this second, I am binding off my second Miss Wick sock. Look at how it looks so long when you look at it this way. Doesn't it look
a bit long?
There's the heel right there. But yes, so here is the first Miss Wick sock. And here, I'll put it a little bit closer so you can see. That is the pattern.
I love it.
I know. I love it too. And I am like maybe 20 stitches away from being done.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Can I just test because we're trying to see how the setup will work?
Yes.
If I get closer, does this show up better?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of like a stormy sky is what it looks like to me. And this is a test that she's doing for me for a colorway that I wanted.
It's beautiful.
So, I love it. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I have to get closer.
Yes.
Close. I'm going to be seen.
Close is good. So my Miss Wick socks, I'm going to count these as done.
Okay.
Because I only have 20 stitches left to bind off and then ends woven in.
You're done.
So I'm not even going to show these next week because they're done, people.
I love them.
Done.
I really do.
And this is part of our whipping through our whips because I cast this on in November, and so here we are, several months later, and I'm getting to finish them. The other thing that I'm trying to work on that I'm doing for the contest Whip Through Your Whips is my featherweight. I believe I cast this on in March of last year, and so I really need to get this done because I want to wear it, not because I feel, like a horrible person that it's taken me so long, but just because I really want to be able to enjoy it this summer.
Are you thinking you
Or
can finish it
spring.
in a month? Or you just
I don't
want to
know.
put some mileage on
I want
it?
to put some mileage on it. I want to see how far I can get.
Okay.
So this is how much I've gotten done on it this week, which is probably about 4 inches.
I think you need to pull that closer so you can see the color.
Okay.
Because it is quite lovely.
This is Anzela Breeze in their, what is the name of the colorway again? It is the, hey Evan, can you let the dogs back in? What colorway is this? Spruce, the spruce colorway. So it's really, I don't think it has some green to it, but it's not as green as it shows up on there. It does have some blue to it and a little bit of like a tealy splashes here and there.
Very summery looking,
yes.
though. It's just a kind of that sun-washed color. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So if I hold it up and make it look like an actual garment instead of like, a pile of knitting, then let's see, here we go. So we're here, here's the shoulder, and I am down to here now.
And how far down are you hoping it'll go?
I'd like for it to hit a little bit below my hips.
Okay.
I'd like, I'd like it for it to be longer. It shows
Not a crop top.
no, Mama doesn't need that. No. So anyways, I want to consult my notes that I did when I made it the first time, because this is my Featherweight 2.0, because my first Featherweight cardigan was knitted and the designer made some changes like right as I was finishing it to change how it fit for people in plus sizes, which that would be me. And
You're an overachiever. Awesome.
I go the distance. And
Can't find Sophie.
I think she's probably downstairs.
You want to try opening up the downstairs door?
That's a good idea. Go try that. So in any case, but in order for it to make the changes, it was too big, it was too gappy along here, I would have had to even just change the cast on number for my very beginning cast on, and I was like, ugh, and I wasn't happy with it, and I wasn't wearing it, so finally I decided to rip it out and start all over again. And okay, all right, it's okay, it'll be fine. We'll get Sophie when we're done, okay?
Sophie is will go down the stairs outside, but not up the stairs, because you can see through the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit frightening.
Yes.
So she will bark at the downstairs door if she goes down.
Our dogs, they're so funny. Bark, bark. The last thing that I've put a little bit of work into, which I mainly did while we were watching The Hobbit, because the rest of my time I've been putting into the Miswick socks and the Featherweight cardigan, is my sock head hat. I put, I don't know, maybe an inch on that. I'm not, again, I don't feel any pressure on this. It's just so fun to knit on and so nice, and I don't have to think about it, and I'm really enjoying it. So this is, this will probably not see a lot of time until this contest is over.
It's going to get cold this weekend. You may wish you had it.
I know, that's true.
Do you want to go show up close so they
Sure.
can see your yarn and how beautiful it is?
This is Malabrigo sock in the Playa colorway. And it is, I wish you could feel it because it's so squishy and wonderful, soft, and I think it's going to make a wonderful hat. And I'm really, I have no knitted hats. And as a knitter, how is that possible? I have been so neglectful of my hat knitting. It's very sad. So that's that. I'm going to do up our thing there. Mom, do you have any finished objects?
I do. I actually have quite a few finished objects.
Okay.
In terms of the scarves that I've been knitting that are using hand spun. And I wanted to show this one just because it's different than the other ones I was doing short ways, and then just going for as long as I felt it needed to be, and then seaming it together. But I wanted to try doing one where it was done in a circle, and let me see if I can get it showing to you here first. But what I wanted to do differently is I was pulling different yarns in. I wanted to do, well, this one's actually crocheted. And so that was what I was testing on this one. And what I like about it is it's got bamboo. Now see, the halo is really going to mess me up here. There's bamboo up here, and this is Angora from my bunnies that I spun here. And this is some mohair that I got as a gift. And this is some commercial fun yarn, just one row of it. And then this is a yarn that was a gifted yarn to me that was reclaimed, which I love the idea of reclaiming yarn from thrift shops and things like that, and it's been laundered and all that, so it's very clean. But you know, it's really nice to recycle things, give them a new life.
Absolutely.
And then the bottom is a hand-spun boucle.
Evan.
And I just had a few yards of it, but it makes a lovely bottom for this. And so this is really one that you just have to see on to appreciate. But it just is, depending on what side you're putting out, it's going to look lighter or darker. Feels lovely. It's got some weight to it, actually. But I thought it was a really fun way. I just chained, and then I joined in the round. I chained the number of stitches for the scarf I wanted.
Do you know how many that was?
I don't. It's probably in the 90s, but it doesn't much matter because it depends on what size hook you're using, just like in knitting.
Sure.
So here is the rule of thumb that I learned on Vicki Howell's old show.
Okay.
Okay, so she said, how do you tell if a scarf is long enough for you? And she said, she gave the example of her, she's short, and then she had someone with her who was a tall person, and they had you stand up, and the scarf needs to be as tall as you. If you want a long scarf.
Okay.
And so if you're making it for a man, you can imagine you probably want 6 feet of scarf.
Yeah.
Okay. So now if I were to unfold this, now I wouldn't do that same measurement for an infinity scarf because it's not being held singly, it's being held doubly. So this is obviously a very long scarf because it's probably, what, 2.5 feet? So it'd be made to fit somebody my size, which is about 5'3". So anyway, whether or not a scarf is the right length is really a personal thing. So I'm making scarves all different lengths because some people don't want to run them around their neck twice. Some people don't want a long scarf or whatever. But when you're making a scarf, be thinking about that. If you're trying to decide if it's long enough, hold it up. And if it's for you, it should be as tall as you are. If you want a scarf that has enough to go over the back or to do something with. Now, if you just want a scarf to hang and just have it be mid-body, then you're going to do less than that, but it gives you a place to start. This particular scarf was done on a size, I think it was either a N or a Q hook, just using single crochets. I went back and added some texture. I'm actually showing you the wrong side. Isn't that funny? Here's the actual right side of the piece. I added some texture to it by overstitching. This is gonna get that glowy thing going. I'm overstitching here some chains on top because I wanted it to feel like a little bit cable-y kind of, so you can see these are standing out. Anyway, I love it.
I like how you're mixing textures and yarns, and you know, it's very artsy.
Well, what I'm loving is I would not want a whole scarf of mohair or a whole scarf of boucle or a whole scarf of a art yarn, or even Angora would be lovely, but it'd be quite a heavy scarf. It took forever for the Angora part of this to dry.
Oh, really?
It is just a fiber that holds on to the moisture. So this is a way to get a nice look, I think, without going overboard. And once it's actually around you, it settles right up. It doesn't look too wild and crazy. So I don't know. I'm having fun with it. I have no idea if anybody else will catch the vision for it.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of us out there that have yarn, bits, a little ball here, a little ball there. We're making blankets out of some of it.
Sure.
But there may be some beautiful yarns, like some of the Malabrigos.
Yeah.
You know, where you maybe want to do something else with it. And I think a scarf that uses bits of, I mean, we've seen the magic ball.
Right.
That's really taken off like wildfire. And I think people just have a desire to want to make use of the stash that they have.
Yes.
So,
Now, I have a question for you.
yes.
At what point will you say, okay, this amount of yarn is not worth saving? I mean, is it like, because I've heard of some people will say, if it's more than half of a ball, I will save it. If it's less than half of a ball, I throw it away. So, I mean, like, but what if it's just like a few yards? Will you save that? So talk to me about what you save and what you don't.
I can tell you what I want to do.
Okay.
Because I'm already creating more leftovers with doing this, because I might have just a few yards left of something. But I love to embellish. And so, and I don't have much in the way of embroidery floss, so I usually use yarns to embellish with. And so if I've got a few yards of something, well, that's enough to embellish a final product.
Sure.
What I'd like to do is find one more of those anchor hawking jars that I have for my, when I showed in the last video at the end, I think I showed my studio.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one more anchor hawking jar where I can keep, where I just have maybe 3 yards of something, and I'll keep it in there so I can grab for it when I'm ready to embellish something. It'll make it more accessible and usable, I think, if I do that. But it depends on how much I love it. If it's an acrylic yarn and I have just a few yards left of it, I usually won't save it. If it's a yarn that I think would be a lovely embellishment, I will save it.
Okay.
How about you?
I tend to save yarns, like, unless it's just like a few little yards, I won't save it, or I'll offer it to you.
Yes, and I always take them.
But I really, yes. Can we show this to them at the end of the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, thumbs up. Yes. All right.
Thanks, officer.
Thank you. And can you still make sure that everybody is being quiet, including Officer Evan? Thank you very much. Excellent.
And my students.
Yes, and your students.
All your students should be quiet, so you're doing great so far.
You are doing wonderful. Yeah, so that's what I tend to do. This is definitely less than a skein of yarn, or half of a skein of yarn, but this is how much I have left over. But I think it's such a shame to waste that much yarn.
I mean, and I've seen a few people buy mini skeins and create hats with striping the mini skeins, and that's equivalent to a mini skein.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that can be done with it. But realistically speaking, if you don't think you're ever going to do something with it, then offer it to someone or toss it. I mean, life's too short. As we know from moving, I'm still going through stuff.
Yeah.
I got mostly sorting through my boxes this week, but what I have left on the floor of the craft room is the things I still have to decide where I'm putting. I have always loved office supplies.
Yes, and you have passed along that love.
I've had years where I got from son-in-law, I got an Office Depot gift card. Best present ever. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I have like a stash of fun, like gel pens and Sharpie markers and pencils, and I have some papers that like you would use for scrapbooking, though I don't scrapbook with them. So I have some of that stuff. I haven't decided, well, where am I going to put it? I don't want to get rid of it, because who wants to go down and buy all that stuff when the time comes? I used it for a project. All that stuff has been used in there. Nothing's sitting there unused.
Right.
But that's when I have leftovers from a project like that, I don't want to just get rid of them. So I have to figure out how I'm going to stash all my loves. I'm getting too many loves.
Too many loves.
Yeah. And has anyone, I haven't, I'm so bad. Forgive me for neglecting all of you, but has anyone responded back? Are they like that? Do they just love every kind of craft, so they've got way too much about everything?
We haven't heard about that. No.
Okay.
No.
No one said, shame on you, Linda.
No, nobody says shame on you, Linda. I think everybody understands.
So nice.
Yes, I think everybody understands.
It's probably more than they cared to know. No one went that far in the tape to see it.
I don't think that's true.
Full disclosure, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
That's right.
More than they wanted to know.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah. Okay, so you finished lots of things. Your little hearts and your scarves. And
I did. I have spinning. I finished. Do you have your spinning?
I have my spinning.
Should we go?
Sure. I think we should do spinning.
Well, I did a lot of spinning this week. I didn't do as much as I would have liked because I was trying to do some other things too. But one of the things I wanted to bring up to show.
Your bracelet is hitting the table quite a lot. There we go.
Okay, I'm trying to find where I tied this. Okay, here's what I wanted to show you. Let me see if I can find a spot that'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Oh, golly. Is there any chance? What if I do put something behind me?
Does that help?
A little bit. Do you see that there's some stripy action happening? Like right in here. Okay, so what I did, I had some undyed merino wool, and then I had some wool that had been dyed very light, this kind of green color. But I didn't have very much. I had like a length about like that. So I thought it'd be really fun to take that little bit of green and do it like a thick and thin, but not do thick and thin. Do color, no color, color, no color. And I did it just on one ply. And I think it's going to create a lovely heathered effect.
How interesting.
I can't wait to actually see it, although I think this one's going off to Peggy. But I would love to see how it looks knitted up because I think it's going to be just a very subtle heathered effect. But I thought if somebody had just a little bit of something and they wanted to stretch it, that you could take any color of roving and merge it in like that, and actually it kind of has a green, all over green effect. It'd be very light for something springy. And I think it would have a lovely texture.
Yeah.
But, so that was idea number one. The other thing is I wanted to point out I was going for, now I can see how tightly this is plied. That's still very hard to see. Where's my camera? Is it that green light?
Yeah, it's right along there.
Okay, I don't know if you can see how tightly this is. This is a very tightly plied yarn. And one of the things that I was wanting was to experiment with doing a very closely plied single. It still hangs nicely. It's not over plied. But what I noticed is you lose a lot of the squishiness when you do a really tight ply like that. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
And so when you're spinning, you have to think about what kind of a yarn do you want to end up with? I mean, you always have to be thinking ahead. At first, you're just trying to make yarn happen.
Yes.
But eventually, you want to think about what kind of yarn am I trying to create? So you see how lofty this little end is that I tied with. And the whole yarn could have been very lofty. But because it was plied so tightly, it becomes a firmer texture. And so you don't get the loftiness with it. So if you were expecting this big, gorgeous, squishy skein, you're not going to get it if you ply super tightly. I know a lot of people are really a fan of it. It's a beautiful look, I think. I'm looking at it and no one else can see it. But I just think that was one of the things that I was learning this week is, I love the look of the tightly plied, but I think I don't love the feel of it as much. You just feel all the bumps from the plying. It's gorgeous. I think this is going to just be lovely when it is knit up. Very subtle, but it's probably not my favorite. But I did love the technique of making those few little bits of fiber go farther.
Yeah.
So,
kind of tying into that.
okay.
Here is my skein my first skein of yarn. And,
gorgeous.
I ended up plying it with, a white BFL. So that's partly how I ended up making my yarn go a little bit farther, was by, and here's, you can see that looks like what you're talking about right here.
Tightly plied, and there's nothing wrong with this. It looks lovely, but when you touch it, it's firm.
It is firm.
Compared to this over here, that's looser and very, can you see it condensing here? And this does not compact hardly at all.
Right.
So this up around your neck is going to feel very luxurious. This is going to look lovely, but it's not going to have the sploosh factor.
Yes. So I'm definitely learning that.
What did you learn about your bobbin, though, that you thought was so hopeless, and I told you it wasn't?
I don't remember. What was that?
Well, you were afraid that there was nothing usable on that bobbin of first yarn you had spun, and were you not pleasantly surprised?
I was very pleasantly surprised because I think washing and flacking and drying really covers a multitude of sins.
It's like ironing your clothes.
It is.
If you're all rumpled,
and
you haven't ironed your shirt versus an ironed shirt, it's the same shirt, but boy, it looks better.
Yeah.
And the more plies you get, the more it covers a multitude of sins.
Yes.
So a single ply better be pretty good on its own. 2 ply covers a bit. 3 ply covers even more.
Yeah. Here's the second skein of yarn that I've made. Let me do this so you can see it. There we go. This is my handy dandy cover upper so you can see things. It's just that white BFL that I purchased, and so there you go. I've plied it. I'm going to today. I'm going to go ahead and take it off of the bobbin and skein it and wash it.
Can we see your other skein and hold them together? And so you can see she's getting a much more consistent spin. And so for those of you who maybe were discouraged that you were, maybe your first attempt wasn't great and you've put off trying the second, keep trying. The more time you put in on your wheel, the better you will become.
Yes.
Or on your spindles too.
Definitely. I really, there are parts of this that look a lot better than others. I was plying from I made it into a skein, not a skein,
a plying ball.
Okay. Which I found that to be very difficult trying to manage that. It felt very unwieldy. So I don't know that that's my preferred method of plying.
Some people love it. But were you plying from the inside and the outside of a plying ball? And I think where people seem to love it more is when they have a plying ball for each ply.
Yeah.
And then they have a bowl that will separate them. What happens to me with a plying ball is it often will get tangled on itself.
Yes.
And especially if I'm doing the inside-outside, where I'm using the inside of the ball and the outside of the ball together.
Right.
And so I have had some success with that, but I have to keep my thumb in the center of the plying ball. That's my secret. And then I wish I had a ball to show. I don't. But let's just pretend this is the ball. I keep my thumb in the center, and then as I feed out the yarn, I use my fingers to separate the plies, and I only let off a little bit at a time, and then this finger is working the twist down to it. So I'll let a few inches go and then do that. But it's pretty tedious.
It is.
I'd rather just. The benefit is, you get all of your yardage used and plied exactly the same. Whereas if you do 2 bobbins, unless you're really good at spinning consistently and getting the exact amount of ounces on each one, you'll end up with some leftover yards on one bobbin and not on the other.
Right.
And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with that. So.
Right.
And my preferred method for leftover yarn on a bobbin, I just Navajo ply it, and that goes into the jar of ones I'll use for embellishing, or if I need a little bit to tie out the skein or whatever.
Well, that's good.
That's what I do.
I love all your tips and hints.
Well, I don't know.
You're so good at that.
Y'all disappeared.
Yeah.
We're looking at a blank screen. I hope we're still recording.
Let's look. There we are. Ta-da!
We're always surprised, and you're probably still always there.
You'd never leave us, would you? No. Do you have any Are You Kidding Me's?
The whole week felt like an Are You Kidding Me?
Yeah.
It's like every time I pulled out a project to do, I undid. I unknit more than I knit.
Yeah.
It was just one of those weeks where it didn't feel very productive. How about you?
You know, this Tuesday was our clinic day with Owen, and so that always, you know, we go once every 4 weeks to the St. Louis Children's Hospital here in Missouri. It's a 4.5 to 5 hour drive each way for us, and so we left at 5:30 in the morning. Only for this child, but I love so much when I do this because I don't do.
It's our favorite time.
Oh, but you know, it's just those are really, just to be honest, those are very hard days.
Yeah.
For a lot of different reasons, not just because of the marathon driving excursion, but just it's difficult to see.
Well, you're
kids.
confronted with reality again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that not everybody is healthy.
Right. And, we are very lucky to be on the tail end of this and, that we're just going in for checkups. But, Owen always leaves with, concerns. And
it's like the longer you go, the better he's doing. And then he's looking at people around him.
Right.
Where before he's concentrating on getting through his experience. He's having less invasive procedures, and so now he's looking around going, Mom, why are all these kids so sick?
Right. Kids that are in wheelchairs and their hair is gone from chemo, and they need feeding tubes and oxygen, and are having a hard time staying awake, because of how treatment is going. And we have been there. And, we definitely remember when life was like that. And so
we remember feeling that way.
We do remember feeling that way.
Yeah, exactly what they're going through.
Absolutely. And so it's very hard to be confronted with that again, especially when Owen is doing so well and his labs came back so good. And so he had his port accessed, so he has a port in the left side of his chest, so that they could give him chemo through his port, and not everything was, he didn't have to get IV sticks and everything all the time, but so every 3 months they have to flush it and make sure that it's still functional, and then so this was. This time we flushed it and he did so good, which if I could tell you at the beginning how it used to be when we used to have to access his port, it was terrible. It took multiple nurses to hold him down, and he was screaming, and it was a huge ordeal. And this time it was just so easy. And hold on just a second, buddy, okay? And so the next time that we flush it is in April. And then after that, then they schedule surgery to have it removed.
Wow.
So it'll be they keep it in for 6 months after chemo is done, just to make sure that it's not going to be needed again. And then after that, then they feel confident enough to be able to take it out. So that's the next kind of milestone that we're looking at, which I'm very excited about. And I know he'll be excited about, to be able to get the port removed. It doesn't bother him or anything, but still anyways. So yeah, so that the next day, Wednesday, I was just like, could hardly move. It was just so
Yeah.
taxing.
I think we all have to take into account the emotional toll it takes on you when you're dealing with major life issues, and sometimes something may not seem like a major life issue to someone else. It's a well check. Why would that be a big issue? But
Right.
if it brings up feelings in you,
And it
then
always does.
it's major.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones that have issues going on in our life. We got a list from people at church that are on the chain of people who pray for others. And it was so huge this last time, and I'm like, oh my goodness, so many hurting people that need help. So it's not just us.
No, it's
There's
not.
a lot of people, and a lot of you are going through. We've had people share with us some of the things that you're going through. And, we have great empathy for you. And when we get a message through that you guys are having a hard time, we do pray for you. I do.
Absolutely.
You know
I do
that.
too.
Yeah. And we know life can throw you some curveballs at times.
Absolutely.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It helps when you've got somebody to do it with.
Yeah. Let's talk about our contests.
Well, can we talk first about it? It's a good thing.
Oh,
Do you
sure.
mind?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because this last week I was watching Netflix. I may have watched a little too much.
Okay.
Once you get onto a really good, like a show that you love and you rate it, then they send you millions of other things.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Which sometimes I love and sometimes I'm like, really? Why would you think I'd like that?
Okay, so I'm going to try and not make this a long story, so you guys will have to imagine all the words I would have said in between the things I'm going to say.
Okay.
But I watched this. I pulled it up so you could see, and I'm hoping you can see. It's World War II, The Last Heroes. Okay, there are 4 episodes. This is told from the perspective, not from the perspective of Hitler and all that. It's told from the perspective of the people that were fighting against him. And it has Canadian soldiers. And you're like, what? It's got Canadian soldiers and people from England and America, so it's not just an American story. But it is so amazing. The idea is some stories need to be captured before people are gone and can't tell the story anymore. And this is live footage. Well, I'm saying live, it's not live now, but actual footage, I should say, of different war experiences that went on. People went over there armed with a camera, if you can believe it, and were there to record it. And I know that happens today, but it is amazing to see this old footage of what people were going through. There are people there sharing their personal stories. And Bree, I have to share it with you too.
Yeah.
So if you could join me.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm trying to handle.
But I have to tell you the one story that really touched me, and I've only watched the first 2 episodes. So the first episode covers this one gentleman I want to tell you about and why it's such a good thing. And this is talking about, okay, war is a bad thing. It doesn't matter whose side you're on.
Right.
I mean, it's horrendous for both sides. It is I don't think anybody needs help imagining, but if you see pictures of wartime experiences where they're actually in where these men are, and now we have women in war too, but it is a frightening experience. And this one gentleman was there describing his experiences on D-Day, where he was supposed to hit, I think he was supposed to land on Omaha Beach. And now if you, sidetracking because that's what I do, if you've ever been to Branson, I don't think there's a show you go to that does not ask for our veterans to stand.
Right.
A veteran, not just U.S., but any veteran. So if you're from another country, great, stand up. And people applaud.
Yes.
And say thank you for what you have done to help secure freedom.
Right.
And so around here, our veterans are highly revered and probably not even as much as they should be.
Right.
But to see these men, he's telling his story, and this guy gets off the ship, and men around him are drowning just getting off the ship. Their gear is so heavy, and they're still in deeper water, and they sink to the bottom, and they can't swim.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like
Me too.
it's like a tragedy all around him. But he's not. He's 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
never been in any kind of a situation, never been hunting, never had any kind of experiences like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they get off the ship, and they're immediately being fired on. Men are sinking around him. He was able to bob to the surface because there was an air bubble in his hat that helped, and he had his chin strap on, and so he floated to the surface, and he was able to get to land. He ended up, not all at the same time, but this guy got injured so many times. They called him the luckiest man on D-Day. He got the side of his face blown away here, where his cheek was peeled back to here. This is, I guess I should do a disclaimer. If you're a child, close your ears right now. Don't listen. But he got shot, and his helmet was blown away, so he was injured in his head here. And he's bandaging himself along the way because there's too many people that are being really seriously hurt. There's not enough people to help all of the injured people. Hey, Abby, can you wait a sec?
I want to watch Despicable Me 1.
I don't have it on there. We have it on DVD.
We'll try to settle the Despicable Me issue.
We'll watch it later, but I need for you to go into the other room and watch Netflix for a few minutes.
Mama, be lonely.
You'll be okay.
You'll be lonely. Okay, so he's 18 years old, never shot a weapon, nothing.
Yes.
In this horrible situation, that all of them are in the horrible situation. But he gets shot here, his cheek gets peeled back, he gets shot in the helmet, he's bleeding here, he's bandaging himself. He gets...
I can't get the beauty inside.
I'll do it. I'll do it later. Go.
This is one of those days. To sum it up, he got shot in like 4 different places. His kneecap was blown off, even as they were shooting the Red Cross as they were getting guys loaded into the boat. He had both sides of his jaw shot off. His gums and his teeth were in his mouth. He was shot through the head just as he was being loaded onto the boat to get hit, rescued. Shot through the foot. Shot in the kneecap, shot here. How many times is that? Like 5 or 6? Okay.
Sounds like a really happy show.
No, but here's the thing. What impressed me was the attitude of these guys. I think they were so aware of how lucky they were. Who would feel lucky to be in a war? No one.
Yeah.
But he says, I was changed by it. And he says, every day now, I tell my wife and my children how much I love them. Okay?
Yeah.
Another gentleman, he had both of his legs were blown off. And he wakes up and his legs are gone. He's trying to come to grips with that. And he said, he looked up with this really happy face and he goes, I made it! I mean, we're talking attitude. And I thought, some of us are dealing with attitude issues. Okay? Yeah. I do. But here they were in this horrible experience. They're 18 years old. That changed the rest of their life. I mean, we're talking a lot of surgeries, a lot of things to try and get back on the mend. And, they all said, this stays with you forever. And the thing that really hit me is this guy who just kept getting hit and kept getting up and moving on. And even when he couldn't move on, he just kept persevering. And what he came up with every day is precious. Every day is a gift. And I want to tell everybody I know that all my family, I want to make sure they know I love them. Okay. So I'm thinking about that as I'm getting ready this morning. And I'm looking at my gray hairs. And I'm thinking about the time that's passed in my life. And my gray hairs remind me of the years I've lived. And I want to be more like those soldiers. Okay, some of us have fought battles that we're not in a war zone. Yeah. Right? Right. But our lives have been quite a challenge. Some of us have not had challenges. Wonderful. Yay, you. Right? Right. I mean, I don't mean that facetiously. I'm serious. You are blessed if you have not had an issue that has been so challenging you didn't know if you could take the next step. Okay? But I'm just saying, I was so encouraged by their attitude. And I thought, you know what? Whatever I've got to face in the next years that may be making me feel afraid, you know what? That's not the way to live. The way to live is to say, hey, I made it another day.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
and tell the people that are around you that you love them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I wouldn't say this show is for everyone. If you don't like seeing documentaries about real life events, and this is what it is, it's a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a record of the few remaining people. And the same thing for Holocaust survivors.
Right.
You know, I'm saying there, let's make sure we record these people so that no one ever has to learn these lessons again.
Mm-hmm.
And let's live lives that are every day is a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Let's say I love you. I love you, Bree.
I love you too.
You know, I was
Yeah.
just very encouraged, and I thought every time I look at a gray hair, I'm going to say that was a lot of wonderful years I've had,
Mm-hmm.
and I've made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've made it here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it was encouraging to me in that way. What good attitudes. And I'm sure we all know that not every soldier has that kind of an experience. And
Mm-hmm.
no shame if for all of those that come back that are in a desperate frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
War is a desperate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And probably start talking really controversial topics, aren't I?
I don't know.
I'm not for war, but if you've had to fight in a war, I'm all for you in the fact that you were willing to put your life on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably stirring up a hornet's nest, but the life lesson is still there, I
Yes.
think.
I agree. Yes.
But it made me want to go hug some old men. They may wonder, see him in town. Oh! There was a guy at my appointment today who didn't have a leg,
Uh-huh.
and he was right in that age group, and I almost asked him, were you in the war? And then I thought, maybe that's not appropriate to ask.
Maybe if he, we see a lot of people with, hats that, tell what
That's true.
what service they were in or,
Yeah.
what wars they fought in. That's a very common thing to see
Yeah.
here in Branson. Or if they have, on their
Mhm.
cars, that they,
Yeah.
were service members, then maybe then you could do that. But I think just a random person, who knows, maybe they just lost it because they were diabetic.
They
you
might.
know.
I thought about that. Maybe I don't want to ask about his personal health history, but after seeing that, I was like, I would love to hear his story. But
Yeah.
war is not never a good thing. No one wants war.
Mm-hmm.
In my world,
Right.
no one wants war, and so I don't say those words lightly in the sense of like I'm glorifying it. I'm not glorifying it, but I am just amazed at the people who have what they have endured to secure our freedom.
Mm-hmm. I know Brian's maternal grandfather, he was a bombardier in the Second World War.
Mm.
And, Brian said he never talked about it, just because it was too painful,
Yeah.
and so it wasn't until his funeral that, we saw all these awards and medals and, distinguishing,
Mhm.
things, medals of distinguishment and, the things that he had achieved. And we were like, if only we had heard a little bit of,
Mhm.
His experiences, that would have been so amazing to hear about
Yeah.
how he perceived things.
And we have another family member who was in Vietnam and never spoke of it. And everyone's fared differently. We're all
Absolutely.
a different makeup, and some seem to fare better than others. So I have great empathy for people who have been through horrific things and are struggling.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that, and
No, not at all.
I see those advertisements now for wounded warriors. And
Oh, they make me
those-
cry every time.
Don't they?
Yes.
It's
I'll be
like-
over at my grandmother's house because we don't have cable. We don't have our TV hooked up to
Yeah.
cable upstairs.
Maybe tell what it is for people who don't get those.
It's for people, for veterans who have lost limbs in combat, and
and not just limbs. There are some that look like they've had head injuries.
Oh,
they've
yes.
had significant injuries.
yes, and very life altering injuries, and so they do events and things, and bring people together to make them feel like they're connected and that they have support systems and, they
for the
do,
families and for the soldiers.
Oh, yeah, and they do events and things like that for them. But anyways.
So that long story that was supposed to be a short one for the World War II, the last heroes, not advocating war, but thank you for everyone who has given something for our freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That was my good thing.
That was a good thing.
Do you have a good thing this week?
I think just the fact that Owen's going to get his poured out in the next 3 months is a good thing for me.
That's exciting.
It's another milestone in our journey. And,
yeah, that's a great thing.
A good milestone.
Yes.
And, Journey, that reminds me, if you want updates on how Owen is doing, we have a Facebook page set up for him called Join Owen's Journey. His teacher this year went back to the very first post and read every single post that we have ever done.
Oh, my word.
I mean, this is 2.5 years worth of Facebook posts about Owen. And, not that I expect you to do that. Oh my goodness. Please don't feel...
She'll be checking what happened on February 13th.
Exactly. Yeah. Please don't feel like you have to do that. But that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
She wanted to know Owen's history so that she could understand him better. And so she did that. And I was like just blown away.
Isn't that neat?
So anyways, that's another...
It's another
milestone. It's a really good thing.
Yes, it's wonderful. Let's get back to our notes, though. I got us all off topic again.
So we're going to do, gilding the lily. We can't forget that part because goodness knows I gilded the lily. I had some Christmas money, just so that you aren't thinking that, I just blew a huge wad of money on...
you did blow a huge wad of money.
I did, but it was Christmas money, and that's okay. And it actually wasn't that much. It was not as much as you.
I think she's backpedaling a little.
No. So I went on the Loopy U, and now that I'm a spinner with a lowercase s, that's okay. I wanted to buy some fiber to have so that when I got to the point where I was, feeling like a more confident spinner, that I would have some fibers in my stash. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I got is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. This is Lisa.
Would you like me to hold it for you?
Sure. This is the Dragonfly colorway, and it's 100% BFL top.
Lovely.
Yes.
Should we show her card?
Yes.
Love it.
Okay. And then the second thing I got, the next 3 things I got are all Malabrigo. This is Malabrigo Nube. It's roving. And this is in the Mostaza colorway.
Wow, I love that.
And this one is, again, Malabrigo in the Candombe colorway.
This is Nube too.
It is.
So the other one is not Nube colorway.
No, this is the green one is the Mostaza colorway.
Mostaza. And this one is what?
This one is Candombe.
Well, I love the progression of colors in this.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, Malabrigo knows what they're doing, don't they?
They really do. And then this last one is the Persia colorway. This is, again, Malabrigo Nube. And these are all, I believe it's merino.
Okay. That's coming up. It's more of a teal than what I'm seeing, but who knows what the color correction will do on it. I would say it's a deep, deep teal. Gorgeous! This part right here reminds me of the colorway that I did my heart in.
Oh yeah, It does.
Which is gorgeous in person.
Beautiful.
Yes, love.
Okay, and then if you have an order of $75 or more at the Loopy U, then you get free shipping. And I was at
you had to, didn't you?
Well, I was at $70, and I had extra money, so
oh yes,
I got this,
gorgeous.
Which is Shoppable Zauberball, crazy Zauberball.
Don't you love it?
Yes. And I can't wait to see how that stripes up. That's going to be so much fun. And I don't know if that's going to be for me or for Brian.
How about me?
No.
You know, I'm forgetting her name from Two Tangled Skeins, and she's a green fanatic. She would love this.
And I love the gray and the green together.
Yeah.
Like, that is so much fun to me.
Super gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, here's the haul.
Ta-da! Yes, I went a little crazy, but you know what?
I love them all.
I think in the end, I only spended.
We got an education.
I only spent like $2.42 of my own money. So it was totally worth it.
Absolutely love these. They're going to spin up gorgeous.
Yes, I can't wait.
This one I love, but the
others
make
are
my
your
heart
favorite.
sing.
Yes.
As Peggy from Hundredth Sheep would say.
Yes. So let's talk
how
about
fun is that?
So much fun. Let's talk about our contests. We have 2 contests going at the moment right now, and I'm going to open up.
Well, can I first say,
Yes.
while you're opening up,
Yeah.
that I have invited you all, or y'all, as we
Y'all.
like to say,
Yes.
to join us on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you do that is by putting your name in the thread
Mm-hmm.
that says, please be our guest. And we've already set up for the first person to send us the video. We're going to take them in order.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're number 3 on the list, I'll be contacting you after I've heard from the first 2 people.
Yes.
Now, if it's not a good time for you to do it, then you can say,
Skip me for right now.
Skip me for a while. That's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
And you can choose what you do. We have the first person's going to be answering a question.
Ooh.
And it's a great time for you to, when you introduce yourself, you can talk about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a shop where you make things, you can show it. Hey, it's like a free commercial.
Hello.
But you don't have to have anything to show. You could just be showing yourself.
That's right.
And for those, if you're super shy, but you want to do it because you want to support us, please, then you can just send me a video that does this. Hi. And then we'll
That'll
put your
work
name
too.
on. That'll work too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's no reason for everyone not to participate.
Yes, that is true.
Please, I beg of you.
All right. So the first contest that we have is Whip Through Your Whips. And for the rest of January and February, we're going to be focusing on wrangling our works in progress. Whip. Got it? Works in progress. WIP.
She had a song she wanted to do for it.
No, I didn't. Into submission. You can do that in 2 ways. 1, you can finish your project. 2, you can unravel, aka rip out, the project. So those are your 2 options. Here are the rules. You may only have 1 post in this thread, but as many projects as you like inside of that post. Just keep editing it to add projects. Please provide a link to your Ravelry project page for this project, as well as provide a picture. We want to keep this fair for everyone. This thread will close on February 28th, and the winner will be chosen by random number generator on March 1st. Mama, Linda, and I will be whipping along with you, but we are not eligible for the prize, which is a beautiful cable needle from Wolf Farms.
The cable needle. Oh, I love mine.
Yay!
I really do.
I'm very sad that I can't win that.
I've got to do it. I've got to get in there. You need it because you've been on a cable frenzy.
I have been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the second contest, okay, now there are like 11 people in this Whip Through Your Whips one. I think a couple people have deleted their things. So your odds are really good if you whip through your whip with us. You can do 1. Just do 1. Even if it's just ripping out a half of a sock that you started 3 years ago and you know you're not going to finish.
You can
just rip it out, okay? The second one is to choose joy. As a part of Brianne's theme of Choose Joy, we'd love for you to contribute your ideas of ways to choose joy in your life. Help inspire us with your joyful ideas. The winner will receive a skein of yarn and stitch markers from Turtle Made.
Do we have anybody who has submitted a joyful idea yet?
We have quite a few people who have done that.
Yummy.
Rules. You may only post once in this thread. Feel free to put as many ideas as you'd like in this post, but do not post more than once. You must be a part of the group to win. The thread will be closed on February 14th, and the winner will be chosen by random number generator once again. So we have 33 people who have entered the Choose Joy contest, and I love all of your ideas. And some of them have are faith-based, and some of them are just, I'm going to look at sunsets, and I'm going to, choose to love the people around me, and I'm going to have a good attitude. And, all of your ideas are awesome and so good. So thank you for doing that, and for joining us with that. That one, the Choose Joy one, closes in just a couple weeks. So make sure that you get your entry in if you'd like to possibly win a prize.
Now, as we're doing this, I think we should pull out one or two an episode. We'll do one today because we haven't really talked about it. I'll just read the first one.
Sure.
Okay. So it was randomly chosen that we would do the first one. Okay. Which is Hot Pink Socks.
Yay.
She says, when I choose joy, I usually find myself putting on my favorite praise and worship music and then attacking whatever task lay ahead of me. Laundry, dinner, dishes, all of my mom duties. My act of worship is truly through song, and making time for it in my day gives me joy. Music does make things easier, doesn't it?
For sure.
Oh, her middle name is Joy, and my daughter's and our soon-to-be daughter's middle name also. Oh my goodness, we love Joy. Stephanie Joy, McKinley Joy, and in May there will be a Whitley Joy.
That's cool.
Wow, that was an over-the-top one. I got to read all the rest of these now.
Yes, you do.
So we'll randomly choose each week one or two to read, and I don't know, maybe we'll get through them. Who knows?
Who knows?
Depends on, 30-some. We'd have to podcast a lot, wouldn't we?
We'd really have to.
Let's randomly choose.
All right.
That was a good one. Did you choose Joy this week?
I did. I chose Joy by, I've been cutting back to one soda a week a day, I'm sorry.
I was going to say a week.
No, as I'm trying to choose to be healthier.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to not drink as much soda. And that's a way that I'm choosing joy. So even though I don't like it, I'm still trying to make good choices.
My doctor told me, got to get off those.
Yeah.
So I have been drinking peach tea. That was my joyful discovery this week. Peach tea. I just missed the bubbles, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a good way to replace that. But
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also decided that there was something I was supposed to do. I had to file a sales tax return.
Mm-hmm.
It only happens once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a lot of activity in it, so it's really just filling out a zero kind of thing.
Right.
But it had been weighing on my mind. I kept thinking, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And I thought, I am making my life miserable by just not doing it and by putting it off.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I chose joy was I sat down, nice quiet place, got it done, felt so much better.
Well, good.
It really, that one act of putting that thing off that was so easy was robbing me of my joy. And I thought, why did I do that? I should never have put it off. I should have just gotten it done. What is that? Your mom would have said that, right?
Yeah.
Your mom especially.
My mom says all kinds of things.
Always don't tell me to do something later that's really hard. I just want to get it over with.
Yeah.
So
I think some people call that eating the frog.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
If you have something, nobody really wants to eat a frog.
No.
And so, but you eat the frog, you get it done, you get it out of the way, and then you get to do the other stuff that isn't so bad.
Okay. Some people like frogs, though.
Some people do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you like frogs. If you like eating frogs, then eat the frog last. It's like dessert.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it for this week.
I think we did it.
Yes.
I think the lighting is still an issue, Brianne.
I know.
But I do like this background.
It's very pretty.
It's my favorite picture. Should we pan up so they can see? Isn't that beautiful? Love it.
Yes. Well, thank you for podcasting with me this week, Mom.
Without you, I don't think a podcast would happen, frankly. She's always, Mom, it's time to podcast. If it weren't for Brianne, I don't know. I'd just be knitting in a chair somewhere. Never come up for air.
But this is your bucket list thing.
It is my bucket list thing, but if it wasn't for you, it would still be a to-do list.
Well,
so
there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, hug time.
Oh,
Love you, sweetie.
Love you too. And we love you, and we hope that you have an awesome, awesome week. And we'll see you again very soon. And until then, just remember that you
are knitworthy.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.